Good morning and welcome to another road trip here on 3+U. This time we have headed up Monteagle Mountain to the town of Sewanee, Tennessee. If you think that Sewanee is just the college, oh, you are so wrong. There is so much fun here in this very quaint downtown area, and our trip for you this morning begins with checking in with the affectionate mayor of Sewanee, Jimmy Wilson, at the Blue Chair. Jimmy, thanks so much for welcoming us in.
Oh, you're welcome, Julie. Thank you for coming.
I told them before we came in the door that people affectionately call you the mayor of Sewanee.
The vice chancellor, who is our president, thinks he's the mayor, but I am the vice mayor.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're one heck of a tour guide, and everything that we're going to see throughout the course of this hour, you've really helped us to kind of get underway, and we so appreciate it.
It was my pleasure.
I wanted to begin the story with you and the Blue Chair because something that people are going to learn throughout the hour is the heart of things here, the community feel here in Sewanee. Y'all have a byline, a tagline at the Blue Chair.
We do.
What is it?
Where our community gathers.
And the community can gather in two ways. So at the Blue Chair, we'll tell you the story behind it. We're on the tavern side.
Correct.
On the other side is your famous bakery. People come there for breakfast.
Cafe, yeah.
And the cafe. So, but there is history here, and you kind of have stepped into it, right, with the Blue Chair?
Oh, I did.
So there is a woman named Susan Binkley.
Correct.
And she's down just below the mountain. And she began a ministry kind of called the Blue Monarch.
Correct.
And from there, the story unfolds. Will you tell it?
Well, you'll be able to tell Susan's favorite color real quick. The Blue Monarch is the recovery center for women and their children. This is the Blue Chair. And the product that we sell here and donate 100% of the proceeds to is called Out of the Blue Granola.
So 23 years ago, Susan opened this side where we are of the Blue Chair. And the whole intent was to teach women who were struggling with addictions a new way of life, right?
Correct.
So that now she devotes her full time to. But the give back is still there. So you're a proud alum. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Your son graduates this year.
We'll be 50 years apart, and my wife is a graduate here, and my daughter by previous marriage also. So we are biased with respect to here, and we also own a second home here.
There are things that you find when you're here in Sewanee for just even 5 minutes. One is that the tie to the university is rooted very, very, very strongly.
Absolutely.
With current students and alum, which you represent. Two, the idea of service. It's an Episcopalian school. The Episcopal faith runs strong here, as do others. But this idea of service extends. So what y'all do now with your ownership of the Blue Chair is you and your partners use it to still give back, right?
Yeah, we do. We are known, well, we're the easy hit up. If somebody needs a donation, we can't say no. But we've been blessed in our lives, Sarah and I have, to be successful and built and sold 2 businesses. I've been a butcher, baker, and a candlestick maker. And as a result, we are big believers, as you've probably talked to a number of people today, John Goodson, Woody, and others, paying it forward. Mm-hmm. The real reason we've still stayed involved in here, because some days you run the restaurant, and some days it runs you.
Sure.
You get that call at 6 o'clock in the morning and a cook got sick, and you're all of a sudden I've learned how to flip an egg and do an omelet.
Well, you must make a pretty good burger.
We do.
Because you have been recognized for it a time or two, right?
We have. Garden and Gun magazine 8 years ago recognized us as Best of Dixie hamburger within a 50-mile radius, and came back last year and recertified us. We are also known for our chicken salad sandwich. Julie, they won't let us enter it anymore in the county fair because we won it 3 years in a row. So it's an outstanding secret recipe.
Lucky for us, it's a lunchtime show, so perhaps we'll have a chance to stay and sample.
But back on to the paying it forward and everything, mm-hmm. We really believe that, and a sense of community is very important to us here. When one side is closed, the other side is open. So like this morning, we were able to have coffee with Coach, with the athletic director, 10 or 15 people here, 100 online on Facebook. And we're still in business next door, and vice versa. When the tavern is open in the afternoon and evening, then we're able to have the fiddlers on Thursday night, or trivia, or what we call spoken word.
You kind of use your proceeds to fund things for the community.
Exactly.
So it would be a great place to come and not only eat, but eavesdrop a little bit. I love the size of both sides. because you can come in and you can find your little nook. And you can have privacy if you want it, but you can feel like everybody's around you. So on the tavern side, part of your butcher, baker, and candlestick maker background is when you were in Nashville, you had a chance to kind of begin a really well-known, or be a part of a well-known brewery, right?
Yep.
Brag on that a little.
Thank you very much. Jackalope Brewery.
Okay.
And today, tomorrow, and the next day is actually the National Craft Beer Association convention with about 3,000 people in Nashville there, and we're hosting part of that. But it was the first brewery founded on this side of the Mississippi River by women.
By women. Isn't that interesting how your life comes full circle, because Susan Binkley is helping women?
You know, I didn't think about that, but you're right.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So, okay, so on this small side now of the tavern, a lot of the businesses you're going to see here as we tour you around run deep. They're not as wide as they are deep. So the tavern is deep, and there's this bar. I'd love to know the story behind it if there is one, but the bar area, but you have a unique way of pouring your beer.
We do. It's a system called Bottoms Up. I played football with a gentleman by the name of Randy Love, and for 4 years, he has been trying to get me to install this new system. The normal system is a tap system where you pull the handle back, but there's a lot of waste involved with the overflow. I found that out during the pandemic when I had to be bartender.
And your shoes got sticky.
Oh, and my hands got sticky. I tried that, and I asked my wife to come back one night and try it herself, and about an hour later she said, call Randy. So Randy has a system called Bottoms Up, and actually when you put the glass on top of the stem, it pushes a magnet up and it fills from the bottoms up, and it's programmed to start at a certain level. So there's
Nice.
Saving of beer as foam, but the other thing is it also allows the bartender to check an ID or go get an order because it's going to stop automatically.
So he's called the mayor for several reasons. One reason is because he does care about everybody, and he kind of has his thumb on a lot. The other is he's a talker. Can you tell?
Oh, well, now you said you were going to cut me off.
I know, and I've just got the sign that I've got.
Did you just kick me under the table?
We've kind of formed a bond already. So he's a proud football player at Sewanee. So your jerseys are here. Your wife played sports at the college.
Soccer and basketball.
So she hangs as well. If people want to hear the story behind the bar, they better come and have a tap poured for them.
Absolutely, and we welcome that, and we check IDs.
A good joke you'll find, a big heart you'll find, and the best burger and chicken sandwich in these parts and maybe beyond. So the Blue Chair is the place to be. Every night they have something going on.
Absolutely.
So go on their website, follow them, and come up here and be part of the family, because this is where the community
gathers.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy.
As we're talking to you this morning about soaking up the local feeling here in Sewanee, soaking it up is one thing, taking it home with you is another. And in order to do that, you have to pop over to the Lemon Fair, where you'll find Andrea Woodard and her wonderful staff at the boutique. Good to see you.
So great to see you. Thanks for coming over.
I'm thrilled to come over. I didn't quite know what to expect, to be honest with you, when we opened the door. And before I could see anything, the scent came over me, Andrea. It's lovely in here.
Thank you. Yes, we've had a really good time curating all the pieces here, and we have lots of candles, so I'm sure it smelled lovely.
So I will tell you, when we go on shoots like this, I don't always talk about come up here to shop necessarily. Experience, yes, but shop is a whole different thing. I have 2 daughters, and if they were here with me right now, we'd be going home with an awful lot of things. Because yes, you have the local that you represent here, local art, great socks,
Yes.
Some little just souvenir type pieces. I love your clothing.
Oh, thank you. Yes, my dress right now is actually from the Lemon Fair.
Good for you.
Whenever I walk around town, people ask me like, "Oh, that's so cute. Where did you get it?" I was like, "It's from the Lemon Fair." But yeah, we've really wanted to curate a store that's for locals and visitors, alumni, and then people who've never been here before just pop in. And yeah, I feel like everyone can find something in here that they either love and want to take home, or they talk about later. Like when people go buy the tea towels and the socks, we can hear them laughing when we're in the back room.
I laughed out loud. So when you first come in, the tea towels are to your left. You'll see when you come here. And yeah, one of them was about, may your coffee be stronger than your toddler. Cracked me up. But your prices are so good too, Andrea. I mean, clearly you're catering to the student population at
Yes.
the college, but you're right. If you're popping through here to visit your child or just to spend the day, you can easily afford what's in here.
Right. And that's what's so lovely about Swanee. It's such a unique community, and we really wanted to keep the price point where it anyone could come here and shop,
Hmm.
is what I'm trying to say. And for, the things and the prices and all of that. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
It's lovely.
Thank you.
So, something else you find when you come to Swanee is that visitors are always welcome, but then you don't really become a visitor. Eventually, you just become part of the community. You're here because your
Yes.
husband is an alum
Yes.
and he never wanted to leave either.
Right. Yes, we have a second home here. Our primary home is in Nashville, and we come up here on the weekends. We spend a lot of time up here in the summer. But yes, he's an alum, class of '98, and they actually this is their reunion year in this fall, and so all of his classmates will be here, and they all come back, and that's what's so cool about it. And
Hmm.
the first time I visited up here with him, like it gets in your soul,
Yeah.
like, and it's just a lovely, lovely place to come and be quiet and or be loud. You can do anything here.
We've only been here for a little while and it's gotten in our soul. And you don't have to be here any length of time before you begin to notice a theme. And everywhere around town, you'll see angels
Yes.
represented, Angel Park that we'll tell you about. So the Lemon Fair is actually home, really, of the Swanee Angel.
Yes, yes, thank you. The original owner of the Lemon Fair started in 1972, and her name was Gay Alvarez. And she came up with, well, the folklore was already there, but she took it and really curated the angel legend and the phrase protected by a Swanee angel.
Okay.
So the Lemon Fair is home to the Swanee angel.
And
So
you see them, they protect you when you come in the door here
yes.
to the Lemon Fair, but you love the lore of that so much and its uniqueness to
Mhm.
Swanee that the Lemon Fair is even doing kind of a competition, if you will, because you're going to do an angel mural
Yes.
and you're asking for people to submit their version and their view of what the
Yes,
angel looks like.
yes, and we're open to all ideas. I think the most of the ads and the people talking about it are wings,
Hmm.
but perhaps someone a whole lot more creative than me
Hmm.
comes up with something that's not wings,
Right.
but we're taking all the submissions and we're going to put it on the wall facing the park, and just hoping that everyone can love it. And then all the submissions will be used for something in the
Oh,
store, whether
nice.
that's note cards or posters. We're not real sure yet what we're
Mhm.
going to do with it. We need to get them here. And then all the proceeds from anything from the mural contest that we use will
Mhm.
go to the Swanee Community Foundation.
Love it.
Yes.
We have such a strong contingent of Chattanooggans and North Georgians who've come to school here
Hmm.
at the university, and they would want to know
Yeah.
about the contest going on. There's the history here in Swanee very much. Your building that we're in now was once something entirely
Yes.
different.
It was a merchandise store. It was built, as far as we have been told, in the 1860s. We know
Yeah.
it was 1800s. And we did a little bit of securing the structure when we bought it in 21. But yeah, it's just old and quaint, and we want to
Yeah.
keep the community that way. So
Yeah.
the bookstore, I don't know if you've been up there yet, it is new,
Hmm.
but you wouldn't know that. It still looks like everything else in the community,
Right.
which what makes it so
And
special.
the Lemon Fair is deep. Yeah, so you take advantage because buildings are close together
Yes.
on the main street,
Hmm.
University Avenue. So you go deep within, so you can just kind of wander back and see what's here. So that's the history, but you're very much current. So you do all the social media pushing to let people know what you have coming into store because you're always having a turnover of new
Yes.
things.
Unfortunately, we can't put everything on the website. When you walk through, you'll see there is a lot of stuff
A
in here,
lot.
and I'm the one that puts everything on the website. That's a lot of undertaking.
Yeah.
So we put most of the Swanee stuff on the website, and things that I know can ship easily. If it's a big item or super fragile,
Hmm.
we don't like to put that on the website in fear that it would get damaged. So most things we will promote on Instagram
Okay.
and Facebook.
But people can purchase through your website.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, because if you're expecting a baby
Uh,
and you have a Swanee connection, talk about your onesie that
We
everybody
have
would.
these cute little onesies and taller t-shirts that have the protected by a Swanee angel phrase on there. And those are a big hit. Those are hard to keep in stock. So if you need them, let us know.
For planning purposes, when people come up here to visit, are you open 7 days a week?
We're open 7 days a week,
Okay.
11 to 5 on weekdays, 10 to 5 on weekends.
Come and fall in love with it. Bring some money with you because you're not going to walk away empty-handed. But don't be intimidated to walk through their doors because it's just everything in here is charming and it feels very much like home.
Well, thank you. We love meeting new people. So even if you don't want to buy anything that day, that's okay. We love hearing all the stories of everyone and what brought you to Sewanee.
Well, we're
So
glad
please
we
come
got
say
to
hi.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
We thought we'd pause for a second on our tour of the downtown area and talk a little bit kind of about the history of the downtown area. So the tag you're it this morning is Kiki Beavers. She is the editor of the Weekly Messenger and proud to be calling Sewanee home again. You said y'all moved back in 1994.
Yes, we did.
So you're almost local, you said.
Almost a local, yeah. Yeah.
So I love the fact that you told me very quickly that you're not a historian,
No, I'm not.
but you've just kind of absorbed it all. So they tagged you.
Yeah, so history, local history, it definitely is important to this area. Um, as with, some other, arts and family-friendly activities, etc.
The thing that I've enjoyed, and this will keep on as we take our tour around here, is in the downtown area, all the businesses have kind of been repurposed. They were once something else.
Right.
And I think you told me that around the corner from us is what's now a restaurant called Shenanigans. It's very old.
Yes, so that building was originally built in 1871 as a dry goods general store. And that's what it remained until 1974 when it was purchased and opened up as Shenanigans Restaurant.
So you can't really talk about Sewanee and not have a blending of the downtown district and the businesses that are here. But as I understand it, all these businesses lease their land
Right.
from the diocese, right? The Episcopal diocese that then has the
Right.
university.
Right.
And the university itself has quite a history, including an interruption of sorts of its building because of the Civil War.
That's true. So there's a couple of things that make this story, unique in a way, for the area. The Native Americans were among the first here in the late 1700s and had settlements around. Euro Americans didn't really start settling until the early 1800s. And many people who live here can trace their ancestry back all the way to these first families. So that's fascinating to me. They came and they stayed. And of course, the discovery of coal, the building of the railroad, and then the first founding of the university in 1858. The Civil War delayed the opening of the university, obviously, until 1868. And a downtown started forming around the university.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and it was, self-sufficient, just everything you could think of. Dry goods stores, butcher, baker, tailors, meat market, just everything anybody could need, sawmill, etc., was all just right down here and served the local population. And then also, the folks up on at University of the South.
So all that history is preserved because so many of these buildings are very old and now being used for new businesses to come in. You had mentioned the railroad. So much of Southern life in general
Right.
Really begins with a railroad. There's a phrase around here called the mountain goat.
Right.
That was the name of the rail line that came up, right?
Right. So, or, some people call it the goat track, but yeah, the mountain goat was part of the Nashville, Chattanooga, St. Louis Railroad line and went from Cowan all the way to Palmer, Tennessee.
And y'all are in the process of kind of refurbishing that, if you will, at the old depot.
So the Mountain Goat Trail Alliance is the one responsible for making the multi-use, multimodal pathway that, when completed, will be about 40 miles for walking, bicycling, etc.
And the old depot, you're going to make a welcome center?
Yeah, so we are in the process now working with the Mountain Goat Trail Alliance, the Sewanee Civic Association, and the university to relocate the trailhead here in Sewanee, the Mountain Goat Trailhead, to the old freight depot and turn that into a welcome and heritage center.
Nice. So you had told me that one of the things you love most about Sewanee is the true downtown area.
Yeah.
When we first got here, Jimmy Wilson was talking about Angel Park and the food trucks that will come for all the different events that you'll have throughout the summer and the fall, and the Mayberry-like feel
Oh,
of it
yeah.
here. The fact that you have a weekly newspaper that you edit and publish that's free, what kind of stories do you tell?
Oh, mostly, their community life, of course. You have to have births and obituaries and church news and that kind of stuff. We welcome, submissions from the public about their events that are going on, whether it's arts related or, food related or
Mm-hmm.
any of that kind of stuff. And we do have original reporting. I've got two staff writers that cover art scenes and, community council meetings and utility district meetings, things that other, bigger newspapers don't cover anymore,
Right.
but
It's Americana up
yep,
here.
it is.
When you come up, well, several people have talked about how you get Chattanoogan's and folks from Nashville and
All over,
big
yeah.
cities that choose to come here to kind of put a pause in their day. You get that all the time.
Yeah, it's very nice. There's always something to do here, whether, you've lived here a long time or you're just visiting. Um, Truly, there's live music, there's a local food scene, there's local artists, and of course, the outdoor recreation
Is key.
is the key.
There are 13,000 acres here.
Well, that's so the University of the South is commonly known as Sewanee.
Mhm,
Their land holdings now encompass 13,000 acres, and that's called the domain.
the domain.
There are other parts of Sewanee that are not on the domain, and those
Correct.
include the communities of uh, Deep Woods, Midway, and Jump Off, for example.
Okay, you say that for anybody who comes up here to visit, after biting into Jimmy Wilson's burger at the Blue Chair, shopping at the Lemon Fair, we'll head over to Woody's Bicycles and talk with him, and taking it all in, they need to go to what building on the campus that you love the most?
All Saints Chapel. It is beautiful. It's a Gothic revival building, and it's just, breathtaking to just go in there and stand and be. And the stained glass windows in the front are basically tell the story of Sewanee. And yeah, that's a not miss for sure.
Well, we thank you for your time this
Oh, sure.
morning, and I know that they're all glad that you're almost a local again, Kiki. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Our tour of Sewanee, the town, continues in just a minute. So when you come up here to take your own personal tour of Sewanee, you're going to begin to hear kind of a familiar phrase as you go to the next destination. Shop owners are going to say to you, oh, it's just around the corner. And they're not kidding. Our next stop this morning is Woody's Bicycles, just around the corner. Thank you for welcoming us in, Woody.
Well, thank you for being here.
Are you making fun of my accent already?
I will not disclose that at all. So
Okay, I don't know if we're going to talk to Woody about bicycles. Of course, we're going to talk about bicycles.
how can I make fun of a Southern accent at the University of the South?
This is a very fair point. So we came walking in today, and there you were working on a bike.
Right.
You said it's every boy's dream come true because when you make a mess, you don't have to worry about it. It's your shop.
Well, you eventually have to clean it up, but when you're working on it, you grab something and you're through with it, you throw it on the floor. And how wonderful is that? What a great feeling.
We've had a good time being here before you and I got on camera to talk, Woody, because we had to kind of do a tour, got to do a tour
Right.
of your shop here. And I'm surrounded by men today. I'm the lone female. And it's been so fun to eavesdrop on y'all's conversations because, yes, we'll talk bicycles, but you can't talk bicycles and not talk nostalgia. It's been, do you remember this bike? Were you a kid when you had this bike? That's part of what you're selling is the American experience, right?
I think you hit the nail right on the head. That one thing that most Americans have in common is that at one time or another, usually when they're about 6 or 7, and actually with my grandchildren at 3 years old, they learn how to ride a bike. And I gave a little talk to the elementary school the other day, and I told them, I said, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I used to be your age. And a lot of that stuff I can't remember. It was so long ago, but I remember the day I learned how to ride a bike and the feeling that it brought to me. So yes.
And that's what you're capitalizing on here. So when you come into Sewanee, as we told you, everything is in real close proximity. The shop owners know each other, the locals all know each other. Pretty soon the tourists like us will get to know each other. You mentioned our little banter of dialects. You came to Sewanee to be a student at the University of the South from Connecticut.
That is correct.
You fell in love with Franklin County, and this has been home for you ever since. But like most people, once you reach a certain age, your life is taking you down a couple of different paths. You kind of got the bicycle part of your life only in the last, what, 20 years or so?
Actually 28 years.
In those 28 years, there's been a real explosion in the bicycle industry. So yes, there is the nostalgia and the history when you come in here. And yes, in the back room, there are the little kids' bikes for the 3-year-olds just starting out. But you then progress up, Woody, and you've got the highest technology around.
The technology, a lot of that has changed. And what's wonderful about a bicycle is when you see through all that stuff, it still works the same as it did 100 years ago. You push down on your foot and it makes the bike go forward. There is a certain simplicity involved that makes the bicycle wonderful.
But I mentioned the technology advancements. Sometimes, if you're watching and you're not a bicycle enthusiast, you can sometimes not give enough credit to the advancements in the bikes. They are made to last in a different way now than they used to.
I am not a curmudgeon about these advancements. I think a lot of them, most of them are marvelous.
So when you come in the store, first of all, there's a quaintness. That's the only word I know to use. It's a man's world when you come here to Woody's Bicycles. But the bikes that we see out front are the ones that tourists like I could rent for the day. Is that right?
The ones out front, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're intended for kind of street use only.
Yes, and driving on the Mountain Goat Trail, which for those of you that don't know, that is an incredible rails-to-trail system running from here all the way into Grundy County. But yes, it's all paved asphalt. Riding around Sewanee is a treat. You can do that for hours.
Well, sure you can, with 13,000 acres
That's
on the
right.
campus, right?
That's right.
If you are looking, though, people will often frequent. They come up here often. They'll get to know you. Bit by bit, their interest in cycling might peak, and they'll want to make a purchase. So you have everything from mountain bikes. You have the kind of like a hybrid bike, right? The electric. And you like those.
Yeah. Yep. The hybrid bikes are my bread and butter.
Are they?
Yeah. And, the cyclists are there and they want the high-end bikes. This is their more than a hobby. It's what they do when they have a moment. But most people want to just ride a bike and they don't want to do it 4 times a week and put on 50, 60 miles each time, or go out for 3 hours mountain biking on the trails. They want to just sort of cruise around. And they recognize that it's a great way of seeing things. In a car, you go too fast. When you're walking, you don't cover enough ground. On a bicycle is perfect. And especially for the renters or for people that just have bikes to ride on the Mountain Goat Trail, or the kids ride to school. And yes, kids ride to school here in this little community, which is totally cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
There are pockets of Chattanooga where that happens still too, but not too many. The trails, before I let you run, I know you've got maps galore here. You're happy to point people in some good directions.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite?
Well, for mountain biking, the Perimeter Trail, I don't know how many thousands of times I've actually ridden on it, but I haven't gotten tired of it yet. And so yes, that offers, it starts as an intermediate and into a sort of blue-black diamond challenging trail too. But there's that, and then the road riding in the valley That is, if you put on 50, 60 miles and you're enthusiastic in that sort. There are hundreds and hundreds of back roads interconnecting with very little traffic. And yes, I'm going to anger people in Atlanta and Chattanooga saying half the cars wave at you as they go by. I mean, it's incredible.
Good.
It's world class, and they're not little easy flat roads. You know, there are hills in Middle Tennessee. You may have noticed that.
We may have noticed a
Yes.
little bit. So you're closed on Sundays and Mondays.
That is correct.
I know that you're about to, when we leave you this morning, you're going to head out on your own ride. I hope you have a good one. Folks can find you. Should they call ahead if they want to reserve a bike, or just
You know,
show
that
up?
helps.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, if they can't, they can also show up. And they have to be patient while we bring the bike out and prepare it.
And when you show up, have a sharp wit about you, because he likes a good barb. Woody, thank you.
Thank you.
What you discover once you've been in Sewanee for even just a little bit of time is that community is key here, and that community can take on lots of different forms. There, of course, is the college community. There are the neighborhoods that surround Sewanee and the village of Sewanee, as they like to say. And there is most definitely the business community. And we're going to focus on that for a minute with John Goodson, who happens to be the president at the moment of the Sewanee Business Alliance. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Julie.
Am I right? Community is kind of everything.
Well, we love the mountain, and when you come here, you don't want to leave. And
We are finding that to be true.
yes,
And your business alliance here has kind of been pretty strategic, John, in making that almost a guaranteed thing, because it's not just the quality of the shops when you're here in the town, but it's the true camaraderie that you feel even as a visitor for a day.
yeah, there's a true community here, and people like to give back. And we created the Sewanee Business Alliance not only to support local businesses, but to support the community. And so we do community events in the summertime. We do free music. We close the streets off, have big party, it's all free music in this beautiful park you're going to see called Angel Park.
We'll talk about the park, but you mentioned a word, and I want to make sure we hone in on it for a minute, because you mentioned the word locals. And I have neglected to say that when people come up and they want a chance to find you, they'll find you here at your business, which is called Locals. It's an art gallery, and you really enjoy focusing on local artists here.
Yeah, Locals is, like the name says, local artist. And Ashley Charlton is a curator. And we have different seasons. We have the summer season. We have the fall to Christmas season. So we're open now, 12 to 5. And then it's Thursday through Saturday.
Okay.
So stop by, and Ashley will help you take a look at local artists.
Part of what's so fun when you come here, and every time we hit the road like this, we fall in love with the charm of where we are. Sewanee has its own charm. So of course it's famous for the university, and we're all expecting the glorious trees that abound and the beautiful stone structures. You come into the village though, and it really is a very different look. The architecture of Locals is stunning.
Thank you. We worked hard on this building. The lease, you don't own property in Sewanee. You lease it from the university. And the lease goes back to 1896. It's probably the oldest lease down here. But there was an old structure, and we basically renovated the whole structure, kept the integrity of the original, Julie, but made it more beautiful than you can imagine, as you see.
It's gorgeous.
And so we have an art gallery here, and it's fun.
He's a humble man, can you tell? But when we were talking with Kiki about the history of Sewanee, which she knows quite well, I can't not bring in your own family's history. Your father was an Episcopal priest, and was
Yes.
in the first graduating class with the doctoral program years ago. Is that right?
Right. My father graduated in the early 50s from the university. There's a story behind that. His whole class in, I believe it was 52 or 53, resigned because they wouldn't allow a black individual to come to the seminary. And so they all resigned, faculty and students, and went to Austin, Texas, and formed Seminary of the Southwest. That being said, my dad was an undergraduate here as well. And then I spent all my summers here, and he was the first graduate. He did the summer program,
Okay.
first graduate of the doctoral of ministry program, and that was 1977.
So I wanted to bring that story in, not knowing the other side of that story, to say that it all comes now full circle. And here you are as the president of the Sewanee Business Alliance. So this Angel Park that you mentioned, there's a lore in Sewanee that if you're a student at the college, when you come in, you touch the hood of your car to let your guardian angels be close by. Is that right?
So when you leave, you take the angel with you. And when you come back, you release the angel.
Okay.
Yes.
So the park, by popular demand, has been called Angel Park, right across the street from you. And that's where we'll see these events take place over the course of the summer and fall.
Yeah, it's a beautiful park. It's a timber frame, and it's made out of Brazilian timbers. There's a company called Amazon Timbers that I've worked with for years. They're certified green. They find discarded timber that was going to be thrown away to rot or burn, and they create timber frames out of them. But the park is Angel Park.
So there's no reason for you to not have one Friday or Monday in there to come up to Sewanee and take in this beautiful area for yourself. Aren't you lucky to have such good companionship as you do in the Sewanee Business Alliance?
Well, it's a wonderful organization with great people that love to give back to the community, and it's certainly a community feel here. Everybody loves it.
Well, we're going to keep our tour going. We're back with more 3+U in just a minute. John, thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie.
As we're wrapping up our tour of Sewanee today, we thought it only fitting to bring you to one of the newest restaurants here in town and sure to be one of the most popular. It's Lumiere. We are joined this morning with David Boyd Williams, who is the owner, along with Carrie Downing, who is the chef, and the two of you are forming a fantastic partnership. So thanks for welcoming us in.
You're very welcome to be here. Thank you.
It's been really interesting to us as we've taken this tour this morning about this continuity that exists here in Sewanee. It seems like the minute you come here, you're welcomed in. So you, Carrie, represent the stronghold of the university. You're a proud alumni. You never lost your love of the mountain. You, David, grew up in Nashville, and the mountain called you back.
It did. It called me back.
So good to see you both.
Thank you.
Lumiere recently opened in September
We sure did.
with a very kind of different philosophy, I guess, in the way you approach the restaurant business.
Yes, I think our approach has been to look at the community, find out what the needs are, take a pause, see where those meet our ambitions and the needs and desires of the community, and get a sense of what we can do to kind of bridge that gap.
I was reading about you before we drove up the mountain this morning. I was having my lingering cup of coffee and looked you up online, and I immediately fell in love because of the mission behind what you do and how you've taken your conjoined life experiences to create this. So you have a real purpose-driven life, David, to want to create cohesive communities and employment.
Absolutely. Our mission is to inspire, to imagine, and to innovate, and to create an environment where people want to be a part of that, to bring their own ideas to the food space here in Sewanee, and also to take that over into creating jobs to make for a more meaningful environment to live in and thrive.
So then we bring Carrie into it, who has quite a resume, and we'll talk about your work in the kitchen and the menus that you're creating. But I think you represent well kind of the new mindset that people have that work should also be able to be fun. And that's very intentional for you.
It is. It absolutely is. I was really grateful that David and I were of a mind that a lot of the sort of rules of restaurants really need to be broken and examined and redone. So that's been one of the things I've been really grateful that he has given me a space to do that.
So there's kindness here.
Absolutely, and deep concern for our employees, that they are, if we don't have happy employees, we don't have happy guests.
And you also want those happy guests. So let's brag a little bit about your menu. So you both, as it turns out, have this love of France. You, David, have kind of lived all over the world, Vancouver, and then the Louisiana area.
Yes, spent some time in Louisiana, New Orleans for 11 years, spent some time in France working in Vancouver for school, and yeah, fell in love with kind of the small scale of a bistro and what that can offer. And then in talking with Carrie, we found that we had a shared interest in that.
I'm loving, I was telling David Boyd, I like there's a contrast here when you come in. So you walk in and immediately I notice, obviously, the lights that come from France, right?
Yes.
The chandeliers. There's a beautiful gold mirror above your bar, also from France.
Yes, absolutely. Trying to bring that into the space.
Then you come into this back room, and I was in awe of the two things I saw first. One were the sheepskin covered booths. As it turns out, the booths are from Chattanooga.
Absolutely, yes.
And then I love the old ancient windows that are here, because you can tell that there's been lots of life in this building, and it's continuing now.
Yeah, we've brought new life into this space again, formerly when it was Ivy Wild and Octopi, and before that it was a laundromat. And so it's deep connections to the university for many years as a space. And so to bring people back into the space, offering them good food and a really bar-focused offering has been one of the things that has turned a lot of people into regular guests.
You can only be a regular, though, 3 nights a week.
That's right.
You're only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then you do a brunch.
We do. Our brunch is a fabulous offering from 11 to 2 that Carrie has come up with.
On Saturdays. So what are you famous for, Carrie? What do you think is most popular on your menu?
On our menu, well, we do a beef stew from the south of France called daube. It's just incredible. People who don't like beef stew love that stew. But we serve it over Southern grits, which is really fun. I'd say that's probably one of the ones we're getting best known for. We're also known for our roasted chicken, such a simple communal dish. You get the whole chicken, you dig into it with your loved ones and your friends, and it's just delicious. We brine it for 48 hours, and it's just gorgeous.
So it sounds like it's, to a degree, comfort food. It's intended to feel familial in a way.
It is definitely meant to be accessible, not highfalutin.
But there's an experience when you come here. So I'm not going to pronounce it the right way. So I'm going to set you up and y'all weave the tale, okay? Yeah. So the angel is all throughout Sewanee, the guardian angels that are here. So you have something called, is it absinthe? Am I saying it right?
Yes.
Absinthe, we have an absinthe fountain, and we have absinthe on our menu, yes.
And how does it work?
Well, it's a beautiful globe on top of a Sewanee angel that you fill with ice, and you let the ice melt down into the spigots, and the spigots pour over into the glasses of absinthe, with or without sugar cubes, up to you. But it's gorgeous, it's something people love doing here.
You do recommend reservations, especially since you are open just the 3 days, right?
Yes, we keep the bar open for walk-ins, and we typically have a table or two available for walk-ins, but we're beginning to fill up quite a bit and would encourage
it's just turned
people
out that way.
Yeah, to make reservations.
I have less than a minute, but can I tell a story about you real quickly?
Absolutely.
So we were talking a little bit about his resume and kind of what all he had done, and when you were in Vancouver, is that right?
Yes.
That's when you were in seminary.
Yes.
So this idea you have now with the way you're living your life of giving back, it's intrinsic to who you are.
It's definitely a part of how I have become who I am over time, making sense of the world through giving back to community. I've spent quite a bit of time in urban environments and philanthropic endeavors. Over the past several years, I found that rural America was kind of looking for some attention, and I wanted to bring some kind, gentle approach to creating meaningful work through job creation. And what better way than a common table? I think the table in and of itself is an equalizer where all people are welcome regardless of their backgrounds. And that's one of the things that Lumiere has become.
The table might be an equalizer. I don't think your restaurant is going to be equal to anything people have had a chance to experience before. So congratulations to you both on the opening.
Thank you.
And thank you for welcoming us in.
Thank you. Come back.
If you want, we will definitely come back. If you want to call and make your reservation, or can they also do it online?
Online, LumiereSewanee.com.
LumiereSewanee.com. What a great way to end our show. Thank you.